Hey, Wednesday night. Welcome to We Are Soccer. We're breaking down some of the weekly action here, talking about Barcelona winning La Liga in style and then getting drenched by the sprinklers of Espanyol. Some fun there. We're also talking about Savvy King, the NWSL player who collapsed on the pitch and would lay there for 10 minutes. We got a lot to get to there because they continued the game after that. Not really sure they should have. We've got updates on the Nottingham Forest striker who went into surgery after running into the post. We've got David Beckham tweets. We've got U.S. men's and U.S. women's national team jerseys that are coming out. We got a lot to get to. All right, let's jump in. Let's go.
What? And I'm going to give you one opportunity because we're friends.
Winner! Who gives a shit about where the ball's been?
Yeah, F him. They went from loving this guy, best move ever, to hating him.
I think it's the most ridiculous thing in the world.
I love it because it tells you how the game was played.
There's nowhere for him to go. I think there's one place.
You can't do that in the national team. Do I look like I'm freaking kidding?
He does things that are absolutely insane.
Successful and sexy? No. It wasn't aggravating at times? Yes.
Sorry,
That's not very fair.
It's not about being fair.
Welcome to the greatest soccer show ever.
Well, hi, friends. Yes, you heard me there at the beginning. Barcelona have wrapped up officially La Liga. They have won La Liga, beating out Real Madrid and everybody else. Today, they beat Espanyol 2-0 at Espanyol's ground. Lamine Yamal, the 17-year-old wonder kid, who everybody thinks should win the Ballon d'Or this year, scored that first goal. And how did he do it? Well, coming down the right, cut in on his left foot and put a curler into the upper right-hand corner, as he's done several times this year. I tell you what, that's his trademark goal. It's phenomenal. The kid is a wonder kid. What a goal. Congratulations to Hansi Flick. He wraps up the domestic treble after no trophies last season for Barcelona. Hansi Flick has now led Barcelona's success in the Spanish Supercopa, the Copa del Rey, and guess what? He beat Madrid both in those finals, and then he outlasted them in the season to win La Liga. So congratulations there to Hansi Flick and Barcelona. Did it in style. Absolute style. Brooks, I don't know if any of us actually picked Barcelona to win La Liga, especially with Mbappe coming to Real Madrid.
No, I think we did this. All of us picked Real Madrid across the board because of all the financial issues and the player registration and everything. We just thought Barcelona was, they finished top 3, but we didn't think they were gonna finish on top of the table and went and did what they did. I don't think all of us thought that they potentially were in the running for the quadruple and they get that far in Champions League and they would beat Real Madrid 4 times in one season. Just amazing, especially with the moves Real Madrid made this offseason. And then the ones they're going to continue to make. It'll be interesting to see if they can continue to progress in the same way they have in the next season.
Absolutely. So Real Madrid already have signed up Xabi Alonso from Bayer Leverkusen, so he's coming over as a coach. We had heard that Florian Wirtz was going to be leaving Bayer Leverkusen and possibly heading to Bayern Munich, but hold your horses there. Apparently Liverpool, Manchester City, and Real Madrid and Barcelona have entered the race for his services. That's interesting there. But you're right. We all picked Real Madrid. Mbappe coming over on a free transfer from PSG to Real Madrid. We all said, no. Barcelona last year, so many troubles. No way is this going to happen. Hansi Flick proved us all wrong, and proved us all wrong in style.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he didn't have Dani Olmo for a lot of this season. Lewandowski's been injured for this season and is old now.
They didn't have Pau Victor, right? For a lot of
Victor's and Ter Stegen went down injured this year. They had to bring in retired, which Szczesny.
Yep.
Incredible, absolutely incredible what he's done there. I mean, that is an outstanding season for Barcelona.
Yeah, I think in their own right too with Real Madrid. I mean, they do have an old back line. They know they need to make updates in the back line. They've talked about Alphonso Davies for years, but he's re-upped at Bayern Munich.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have Alexander-Arnold for a right back who can probably play a left back if needed at times. So but and then we talked about Courtois. Is he staying or going? He's only 33, but he obviously hasn't gotten the job done. In Real Madrid, you got to get the job done every year because there's such high expectations. It's Champions League or bust for them always. It's LaLiga is like, yeah, we know we're always be in it for LaLiga, but Champions League or bust for them, I think.
Yes, Champions League, winning that Champions League or bust. I really do think if Barcelona had gotten through the semifinals into the Champions League final, they would have won it, but obviously wasn't to be. Domestic treble for them, not the quadruple that they were hoping for, but what a season. Absolutely stunning season. They really don't need to bring in any other players this summer. Maybe a couple of backups here and there, but other than that, man, they got players coming back off the injured list. They're good to go if Hansi Flick can motivate them again, and I bet you he can. Oh, and by the way, they're going to be putting Yamal a new contract in front of him.
Yep.
A new contract in front of him because they ain't going to let him walk away for a long time. I don't think he wants to either, but congratulations to them. They played today at Espanyol. Unfortunately, Brooks, I don't know if you heard this. Before the game, there's footage, a car in front of fans, a little white sedan is in front of fans, and all the fans are chanting and singing, and as they're on the way to marching to the ground, it ran over people. It ran into the crowd of people. I think 14 people have gone to the hospital injured. Yeah. There doesn't look like it was done on purpose, but they're not sure yet. The game did go ahead and everything was fine. I don't believe there were any deaths, but people were injured. Unfortunately, another incident with people, maybe alcohol involved. We don't know. We can speculate there.
I don't know, but there's always a lot of security for those matches, and it's always crazy to think that these things keep happening over and over again. You think you got everything locked down around the stadium, and something happens like this, and I mean, I hope it wasn't intentional to it was a fan upset or something, or I just hope it was never that,
Just hope it was an elder, like a 90-year-old woman who put the wrong foot on the pedal, right? Put her foot on the wrong pedal. Anyway, after the game, it was obviously Barcelona knew if they won the game, they'd win La Liga. They win the season. So as is what you do when you win, you celebrate. They're on the field with champagne. They're hugging. And Espanyol turned down the sprinklers.
Yeah. Wasn't this the thing? Last year they won at Espanyol, and I believe there was an incident on the field, right?
I've heard
there were
that.
fans. There were fans. I think I read it was fans came on the field, and the Barcelona players in the coaching staff had to run off the field because they were coming at him.
I mean, all right, so just so everybody's aware, once a game does end, there's a couple of minutes that everybody clears off the field, then the sprinklers do come on. So this may not have been a planned thing. It'd be funny if it was. It may not have been a planned thing. It may have been, hey, you're on the field. By the way, these sprinklers are set automatically, so they're just going to come on. To the credit of Barcelona, the staff, the players, and everybody involved, they had a little bit of fun with it. They were jumping around in the sprinklers, and they were enjoying their time. So that was funny. I know Mike Lupinek is probably having an extra glass of champagne or wine tonight.
Yes.
As his team is Barcelona. A couple of other fans out there that we know, I believe Rick, our Friday night goalie.
Yeah, he's a big Barcelona
Barca fan. So congratulations, you guys. That's a domestic treble over Real Madrid. Very fun there. Brooks, we got a couple of other topics to get to tonight. Some fun, some not so fun. But before I do that, I want to jump in and say a big thank you to our partners. A big thank you to the football doc, Dr. Zachary Atwood. If you're injured, like me, I tore my hamstring. Hit up the football doc, Dr. Zachary Atwood. He's a good dude, a great soccer player, and a freaking awesome doctor. He'll get you back on the field quick. He does baseline testing as well for you young athletes. Big thank you to the Michigan Jaguars, MichiganJaguarsFC.com for more information on them. Tryouts are coming up June 7th and 8th. If you're looking for a new club here in Michigan, check out MichiganJaguarsFC.com. A big thank you to Soccer World, soccerworld.net for all of your soccer gear needs. Make sure your kid is prepared for tryouts as they come up. Get over to Soccer World or soccerworld.net online. Get them some new boots. Get them looking good for those coaches to pick them for that team. And get signed up for Aaron Bird and Next Level Training. Don't forget, they've got summer camps coming up. Get your kids into those summer camps. Spots fill up fast. My kids always go every year. What a freaking awesome camp that is. Highly, highly recommend Aaron Bird and Next Level Training.
Before we jump to the next one, so our friend BX Gunner 81's watching as usual.
Hey, buddy.
And same with Katie for Kick It with Katie podcast.
Kick It with Katie. If you haven't checked out the Kick It with Katie podcast, do it. She does an awesome pod, man.
Yeah, she's teaming up with Carrie, who runs a podcast around. They're doing a great job too.
Very
those two. So BX Gunner asks, can Latoro winning Champions League in Serie A snipe the Ballon d'Or? Because you made the comment that Lamine Yamal should be definitely a consideration for winning the Ballon d'Or.
Great question. Unfortunately, everybody knows Yamal, right? Yamal. He is the wonder kid. He's the one everybody's been focused on. And I know they said it's going to change. I know they said the Ballon d'Or is not going to be a popularity contest anymore. But do you really believe it?
I don't think any of us do.
No, we don't.
Unfortunately, he's the next up and coming star.
I've seen Mo Salah ranked 5th in the rankings,
which is crazy because he should be a top 3 player for what he's done.
Top 2 or 3, absolutely. Scoring goals, leading leading Liverpool.
Yes.
Only losing out in the Champions League to PSG. But then you've got Ousmane Dembele, who I think is ranked 2nd or 3rd.
Yep.
I thought this year he would win it. I don't know. It's going to be a popularity contest. It's going to come down to Dembele or Yamal.
Probably.
It's a popularity
Unfortunately.
contest. That's the way it is.
Yeah. If you went by what you won and how your stats and everything, if it was more statistical, for sure Latoro would, because he's been huge for Inter Milan. He's been one of their key players for them.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he doesn't have that spotlight like Yamal does, right? And even Dembele in the French league and now into the Champions League final. Great question, though. All right, Brooks, we're going to talk about a little bit of a, I don't want to say sad topic, but this is, it's happening more and more. Unfortunately, an NWSL player, young lady Savvy King, in the 74th minute of their game, was it Saturday it happened, she collapsed. This really flew under the radar. Brooks, we did an entire show on Sunday. We didn't mention it because I didn't actually see this until I think it was Monday morning, unfortunately. So really flew under the radar, but she collapsed. They did life resuscitating measures on the field to get her back going again. She was unconscious but breathing when they exited the field with her on the stretcher. They took her to the hospital. She's had surgery, I think either Sunday or Monday. She had a little bit of a congenital heart defect.
Yeah, so they took care of that. They just went in and they took care of it right away, so it wouldn't happen again.
So it looks like biomeasures, she could be back on the field at some point. She could be back and going again. So that's really good news.
Yeah.
The great news is she's going to get healthy. She's going to live a normal lifestyle. And hopefully she gets back on the field and can get back to playing to the level she was.
Yes.
So that's great. Here's the sad news. And this absolutely disgusted me.
Mm-hmm.
After 10 minutes of life resuscitating measures to get her back breathing again, then are moving her from the field, they asked both teams to come back on and play the rest of the game. There was still 16 minutes of normal time left in the game. What are you? Listen, I've been on a soccer field where people have snapped legs or broken their arm, and it affects you, man. When the game gets going again, it's in the back of your head, and that's only a broken arm or a broken leg. I've never been on a field where someone has passed out and had to have, heart or chest compressions done to get them back again. I don't think I'd be able to continue. I can't believe they asked these young ladies in the NWSL to play again. Finish out the game? Are you kidding me?
Well, the crazy thing is,
who made this decision?
I mean, most games, right? It's like if it's 65 or 60 minutes or later, if like due to weather or whatever, the game's usually called, and whoever's ahead, that's who gets the victory or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Angel City had Kristen Press scored in the 66th minute, and then obviously this happens, very quickly after. But you're right, like they could have just been like, hey, we can postpone this and finish it out, on a later date, or we can group and we can say, I'm sure Utah would have been like, hey, we're fine with just like,
no player on either team, either coach.
They didn't want to play.
I think they'd said we don't want to do this, and I don't know if it was a referee, I don't know if it was a league official, but this can't happen. Now, the NWSL, Brooks, correct me if I'm wrong, has come out and said they are They completely disagree with the decision to go back on and play. They're putting into place some measures with the league to say this can't happen again.
Yeah. The players, like I think like Trinity Rodman came out on, I think on something on social media where she just was like, why was this game played after such a crazy incident? It's just, why didn't we just abandon the match?
Right. Listen, again, it's a professional game, but I don't think a single professional player who finished that game would have said, no, we need to play this game today. They all would have said, great, the game's abandoned. I just saw someone almost die. A fellow professional on the field that I'm on. I would like to leave. I would like to go home and hug my family now. I don't think you would have had a single complaint from anybody on that field.
No.
So, and if there was complaints afterwards, great. You know what? Hey, teams, let's get back together. We'll finish out the rest of the match on another day. We will find a spot, a time to come back and do that. I'm glad to see the NWSL wrote, the Players Association wrote to the NWSL, the league, and said this can't happen again. Let's put something into place here. Hopefully they get sorted out. As I mentioned, this has happened several times, right? We all remember the Christian Eriksen one.
Yep.
In the Euros. We all have seen it happen in other leagues and other players. Leagues now need to put this in place and say, listen, if this happens, games will not continue. They cannot continue, because not only is it not fair to the players, it's not fair to the fans, because they're distraught. They just saw something. They might not even want to stay and watch the rest of it, and the game's not going to be entertaining thereafter. So something from each league has to be put in place.
Yep.
I really hope each league pays attention to the mistake the NWSL just made, and they use this as a learning lesson and put something into play. Notify the referees, notify the officials at the game, the league officials at the game, that this cannot happen again. It's almost like the league put the game in front of players' lives, right?
Well, like the thing with NWSL too is like, they don't play as many competitions as MLS and USL do.
Right,
I mean,
right.
USL has their Jägermeister Cup. They have the league. They have Open Cup. There's not really an Open Cup for the women's game. They have, I think they do a competition with the Liga MX clubs. They have the league play. There's time to reschedule that game if they need to, or to push it to a later date, or, like I said, I'm sure teams are just happy to call it, a draw or whatever, or like your Angel City wins the game, and, that's how it ends.
Well, we'll see if leagues put something like that into place. And mark my words, unfortunately, something like this will happen again in the next couple of years. Another incident that happened this weekend, Nottingham Forest playing Leicester City. Nottingham Forest used all their subs and had to play with an injured player. That player, the big hullabaloo there was he came back on the field after saying he could play, then said he couldn't play. Nottingham Forest already used all their subs. They sent him back on the field to play. Teoao, I can't even pronounce it. I don't know. Awonyi, he's been, after the game, he went off to the hospital. He went off to the hospital the next day complaining of pains. They put him into surgery right away. He damaged some abdominal, something in his abdominal.
He hit the post hard.
He hit the post pretty hard after running into the post. And after surgery, they put him into an induced coma.
Yep.
I mean, this is serious. Now, this is the incident where the owner of Nottingham Forest came on the field to talk to the medical staff. And there's going to be some learning lessons out of this, too, for everybody involved. Medical staffs, coaches, owners as well. The player at first, there's video of him saying, yeah, I'm good. I'm good to go back on the field. And then about 20 to 30 seconds later, he was like, no, I can't go back on. And then the medical staff and the coach said, well, we don't have anybody else. So we're going to have to play down a man. You need to go back on the field. So they sent him back on the field. That can't happen. That cannot happen.
Yeah.
Because
So
now you see the ramifications of that.
Yeah. So we do have an update. So this was yesterday. BBC Sport and Men in Blazers just on social media that Awonyi has awoken from his induced coma.
That's
they
good news.
which is good. But it brings it to the point where, which we've talked about before with the delayed offsides or the delayed flag and not calling things. Does it lead to this? And the two questions are, what was the trainer doing? The trainer, he said yes, because sometimes the player's like, oh, I'm fine. Like, this is the trainer's fault, or is this more of the referee's fault that this happened, or is it both?
I don't know if I'd blame the referee. Now, if it's a head injury, I could possibly see the referee getting some blame. The trainer, it's a tough one because, they obviously asked the player, could they go on? The player said yes.
You're supposed to do the proper testing, though. That's
right.
the thing.
But,
And if they don't pass,
with that internal injury, it's tough, right? It is a tough one. At some point, a doctor or the medical staff have to step in and say, listen, man, I know we don't have any subs, but this guy can't play because
he should have. The thing I would have done if I was a trainer, I would have said, you need to go get x-rays.
yeah,
You know?
or something to check that out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, glad to see he's out of his induced coma. Hopefully he heals, mends well, and can get back on the field. Another incident, though, over the weekend with learning lessons for everybody involved: the player, the medical staff, the coach, the owners, the league, the referee, everybody. Another learning lesson for us all there.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to something else. Maybe something a little bit more, I don't know, fun, not so down and learning lesson-ish. David Beckham's Inter Miami team, Brooks,
Yeah,
they lost to Minnesota
they did 4-1.
4-1.
Yep.
And then
They're on a 6-game winless streak. They have and that's all competitions.
yeah, they're not doing so hot right now.
No,
They need to regroup a little bit here.
And I think this is a reaction to the stress of, I've paid all these players and I know they're older, but this is what you get when you buy older players that are at the end of their career. You're going to get this a little bit, but I think this is a reaction from David. It was very quick.
Dude, I'm going to come at it from the other side. So just so you're aware, Inter Miami went up to Minnesota, lost 4-1 as they're flying home. Minnesota tweeted these 3 words: pink phony club.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I think that's a little harsh. It's a little harsh.
When you're David Beckham, you're the owner, you started this team, you're in Miami, you've purchased all these players and paid them this money, and the league's treating you like Cinderella.
Well,
this is just like any other
team.
sport.
This is a team that brings in the most attendance to every game.
For sure.
Brings in the most views for every game.
For sure.
Has the best player in the world. But to be able to say, just because we beat you in a game, pink phony club,
Well,
I don't know. I think that's a little bit below the belt, personally. David Beckham tweeted back. Beckham's response was, show a little respect.
Yeah.
You know what? He could have gone deeper. He could have said more. He took the high ground to show a little respect.
he could have been worse.
Could've been.
But I think he's got to learn this. I mean, he was a Man United guy, so he always had a target on his back, no
Nailed it.
matter where you played. But in American sports, when you come from, Minneapolis is not LA or Miami or New York. Mostly, take basketball for example. The Pistons fans hate the Lakers and the Celtics and the Knicks and everything because we're a different type of tough out here. You know what I mean? And that's what you have in your back. You're the rich and fancy club that wants to look good, and you have all the players. And when you go to a Minnesota, you go to a Chicago or a Columbus or whatever, you're going to get backlash. And this is good for the league. The league needs this. The league needs a villain, and Miami can be the villain, because everyone's after them.
I was gonna say maybe it's the opposite. Maybe like someone like Minnesota becomes a villain. Everybody else becomes.
They could be the villain.
Everybody loves Inter Miami.
Yep.
Even,
they could have backed themselves
fans
into a
who
corner.
Don't support them. I don't know, but you're right. It's good for the league.
They need a villain because these made-up rivalries they have. There's some legit ones like
Agreed.
Columbus-Cincy is a legit one. St. Louis and Sporting KC is a legit one, and then El Tráfico for sure. Is the New York Derby, the Hudson Derby really one? They're just, I don't know if there really is one, and then they make up the one with like Nashville and Atlanta and whatever. And this is good though. This is what the league needs because it makes it entertaining and it makes non-soccer fans want to tune in.
Yeah. Good friend Victor watching. Hey Vic, how are you? Hopefully Bianca's doing well. Let us know how she does through the summer. Victor has a daughter who's playing for the Jags, who plays for the Jags during the youth season, and in the summer plays for
Women's team, right?
Yeah, she's playing for the Jags women's team, I think.
Yeah, the UWS team.
Yeah, so interested to see. Send us some highlights.
Yeah.
Send us some highlights. All right, a couple of other things to get to here. Let me swap screens. All right, there are new kits. They're calling this. I want to make sure I get the wording correct. U.S. Soccer's new national team kit collection.
Yeah.
Kit collection. If you guys haven't seen these, here they are. Brooks, I gotta be honest. I think they're very simple. They're plain, but I like them.
I think they knocked it out of the park with the white one because it's a throwback to like the old school, the 90s, and what was it, 94?
The jean jacket look one?
That was, the one that like you see what Alexi Lau was wearing and like, Ramos and all those guys. Yeah, that's that one. They mixed it up and did it nice with the white. And the dark one is interesting. It reminds me of like Sunderland, would you say, or just?
No, not Sunderland.
I don't know. What European club does it remind you of?
I don't know actually. It gives me a little bit of Barcelona vibes.
Maybe a little Bayern Munich because they have patterns like that where it's very simple.
They have. To be honest, I'm getting a rich person pajama vibe from the blue one. Like that's something a rich person would have their pajamas, their silk pajamas look like. But I actually really like both of them.
Yes, they're better than what they've had the past 5 or 6 years.
Yes, I'm interested to know what people think on these though. Do you like them? If you had to buy one, which one would you buy, or would you buy both of them? But now the interesting thing, Brooks, that you brought up was we haven't seen any men wearing these, any photography, any imagery of
the white jersey.
The white jersey. Have you seen pictures of the U.S. men wearing the blue one?
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Like, and if you look in, like, I signed up for like I'm on the email list. I think I bought a few things from U.S. Soccer, and they, are on the email list, and they shoot out everything. Okay. The only one I've seen the men in is the blue one.
Okay.
And which is ironic because if you were going to do you think the white jersey would be because the men have worn that one.
Yeah.
But as everyone knows, the women and men will have one jersey that's similar, not usually two. And in the past, the women have honestly had an alternate jersey that have been different, and same with the men. So I'm interested to see how it goes with this. But Nike needed to make something good for the 2026 World Cup that was going to sell. And they've hit this one out of the park, in my opinion.
I think they have. And I guarantee it's going to be on sale at Soccer World very soon. Soccer World, hold one of those for me because I'll be coming down to get one.
Yeah.
When they're on sale, we'll let you guys all know at Soccer World and soccerworld.net.
Yes.
Those are really cool, though.
A few comments here. BX Gunner, he's talking about the new Arsenal home kits. He said they look a little Bayernish. I like the little white crest they have, the new Arsenal ones.
I don't mind them. Yeah, I don't mind them. I thought they were okay. I don't know. They didn't really stand out, but I thought they were all right.
Yep.
I read something today that said Arsenal fans are going to go bonkers over them. They're going to love them. The first one I've talked to is BX Gunner, and he says they're okay, but nothing special. Okay.
Yeah. He likes the pinstripe for the U.S. men's national team. That's a good one. And then Katie says, I agree. They are very pajama looking, the white ones.
Yeah. We should all buy them and have a big sleepover.
Yeah.
While watching the U.S. men's national team as they are playing in September. They're playing South Korea on September 6th in Harrison, New Jersey. Then 3 days later, they're playing in Columbus, Ohio against Japan. They'll be featuring these kits for sure. Looking forward to those friendlies. I am very much looking forward to those friendlies. I had an offer to go down to watch the Columbus game. I'm probably going to have to pass that up, but who knows? Maybe we'll change my mind.
Maybe.
I don't know. Brooks, I'm excited for that.
Question for you.
Go for it.
Would you rather see us go to Asia to play away than us play at home?
No, I'd rather see us play here. No, I would love to see us play here because the 2026 World Cup is here. The more people we can get to the games here to drum up more interest from American fans, the better. The more we can get our players used to playing in the stadiums, get used to the fans, get used to everything that's going on. It's going to be better and it's going to help. It's pointless flying all those miles to Asia to play these teams. I think both of those teams want to come here to see the stadiums and see the atmosphere for when they come for the World Cup, so it's an experience for them. This is going to happen a lot more in all the in all the breaks, the international windows and breaks. We'll see a lot of teams coming here and playing games to get used to America for the World Cup.
See, a lot of people on social media disagree. They think to prep for the 2026 World Cup, it's important that we go play these games away because it's a little tougher.
Because it's tougher to play
to
away.
play in. It's good to play in different environments and to also spread our brand in the Asian market.
Yeah, I just don't think it's a time to listen. I get spreading the brand is something I've never really considered for a national team.
Sure. There are a lot of Americans though in Japan. Like there's
Sure.
a lot of naval bases
Yeah, there
and,
is. Yeah,
and whatnot. So you make it an American crowd.
I
Yeah.
can see that happening in 2027, 2028. Like I can see them saying to both these federations, listen, in 2025 you come to us, and then in 2026 after the World Cup or 2027 we will come to you,
Yeah.
and we will reciprocate with the game there. So it's a little bit of a home away friendlies. I can see that happening.
Yep.
But U.S. soccer just needs to keep drumming up, and then they need to work through what's happening at these stadiums, right?
Yeah.
When these international teams come, what's happening? What's happening when the fans are flying over? Where are they staying? How are they reacting? What do we have to deal with for the World Cup? So there's a lot of learnings going on there, in my opinion.
So one of my buddies is actually doing stuff for the FIFA Club World Cup. My buddy that's based out in D.C.
Mhm.
And apparently all the big clubs are down in Florida and the South, and I don't get it because why would you want to be in a hot and humid place in the summertime?
Yeah,
It doesn't
seriously.
make sense. But what he's curious about is obviously the big time matches. If there's big time clubs playing each other, there'll be people that'll show up and whatnot. The curious part is when the smaller clubs play the bigger clubs, what's the turnout going to be? How's it going to be in the certain areas that have these matches being played? And I'm sure they're going to take a lot of data from that. And then where the teams train and whatnot, I'm sure they're going to be like, hey, we'll have teams train in this location again, the international clubs when they come here, because it'll be, they'll draw a good fan base and yada, yada, yada to the location, which will draw out money for obviously the local area. So I'm
Mhm.
curious to see how that all entails, the data, and then how it shifts into the 2026 World Cup for that stuff. It's going to be very intriguing.
Very interesting. A lot of learnings going on
Yes.
with everything there. All right, one other thing to get to tonight for everybody. In the MLS, Brooks,
Yeah.
there's a team that won a championship last year. That means they were the best team in the league,
Yes.
right?
Well,
They-
by playoff standard, you
the-
can consider the Supporter Shield
Sure,
the best team.
one of the best teams. Let's go with
Yes,
that.
Sure.
Right now, they are the absolute worst team. That same team is the worst team in the MLS. The LA Galaxy are winless in 13 matches. Brooks,
Yeah.
this is blowing my mind. This would be like Liverpool starting the 2026-2027 season off 0-10, 0-13, or just winless in 30. That won't happen.
Yeah.
I don't think in any other league in the world. But
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about this, man.
I mean, what do you expect? Like we talked about it before, Ricky Puig is out with an injury. He was a key guy in the midfield. They lost Brugman. He goes to Nashville. It was a good trade, I think, with Elijah Winder. He's a young guy. He's not going to be a huge difference maker right away. They got him from Louisville City. They gave away Joveljic to Sporting KC. And Christian Ramirez is your striker now, or one of them. Marco Royce, unfortunately,
That's not bad.
he was never pegged to be like a 30-match starter. I think he wanted to come over here and start some matches and be mostly an off-the-bench guy, because I've heard he has issues. But Will Kuntz was on the Landon Donovan, Tim Howard podcast, and I was just kind of listening to a little bit of it, and he's like, hey, it's tough to rebuild. When the salary cap, handcuffs you a bit, but.
Well,
It's been like that for years. I mean, when you go all in like they did, that's what's going to happen. And you're either going to come out the other end fine, or you're going to come out the other end just like how they are. And it's just how the MLS is. And you just have to prepare for the big swings. Now, that doesn't mean, I wrote in our newsletter a couple, like it was last week, about this when they had when they were winless in 12. And Colorado was the one that set it in 2019 with 12 games not getting any wins. Now the back half of the season, when Connor Casey took over for them in 2019, he got them pretty far up the table, and they didn't make the playoffs that year. But it is possible, if they can change something, that they can make the playoffs, because this is MLS and there's parity. So one move or two could vastly change it if they get the right guy in the summer.
It would blow my mind if they made the playoffs, because currently they have 2 points from 13 matches. And this weekend, they were up 2-0 in the first half against Philadelphia Union, ended up losing 3-2. It would
They
blow
played
my
well that
mind.
first half.
It would blow my mind if they could end up in the playoff spot and actually get in there. We will see.
Yeah.
Good luck to them.
I mean, there's 9 spots, and when
that's the only good thing.
when Colorado did that, I think it was 7, and they were 2 below it. So
Wow.
if Colorado was in the situation now in 2019, and there's many teams, they would have made the playoffs because they end up in 9th place in the Western Conference that year. So, and that's why Katie just made the comment, we need pro rel to prevent this from becoming a trend. And in certain circumstances, yes, I mean, we do. But the salary cap is a big issue, and that's what a lot of the clubs have been like. You know, the USL doesn't have a salary cap, so you know there's not these big swings a lot of the time in USL.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. I'm sure we'll be telling you how many points they've got and how likely they are to make the playoffs every week when we're talking.
Yep.
All right, Brooks. I think that about wraps us up. Unless you have anything else you want to chat about.
No, I think that's good. We cover most of it. There'll be more fun stuff to cover on Sunday. One thing I'll note, everyone's got to watch the Eredivisie this weekend on Sunday, because if you did not know, Ajax was 9 points 5 or 6 weeks ago. Ajax was 9 points.
With 6 games remaining, they were
Yes.
9 points clear
Yes.
of
PSV.
of PSV and about to win the title.
Yes.
And they have gone on a massive slump here.
Correct. They've lost 5. They haven't lost. They have not. They've only got like a point from like 5 games or whatever. And PSV has gone on a crazy winning streak. And if they win this weekend, PSV, they win the Eredivisie.
Biggest collapse in a long time.
Big one.
Long time.
Yeah.
So be sure to watch that game this weekend. All right. Before we go, I do want to say again a big thank you to our partners. A big thank you to Soccer World, soccerworld.net for all of your soccer gear needs. A big thank you to Aaron Bird and the Next Level Training Group. Sign up for their summer camps now. Those spots will fill fast. They've got several camps in several locations around the Metro Detroit area. Sign up soon. Big thank you to the Michigan Jaguars, MichiganJaguarsFC.com for more information on them. Tryouts are coming up. If you're looking for a nice, cool family club that plays at all the levels of the sport, check out MichiganJaguarsFC.com. Big thank you to the football doc, Dr. Zachary Atwood. If you're injured or you want to do some baseline testing, hit up the football doc, Dr. Zachary Atwood. He'll get you back in the field and get you ready to go. Brooks, another enjoyable night on this Thursday night, which is unusual for us.
Yeah, usually it's Wednesday, but
Yeah.
you were busy. You had quite a day Wednesday, and yeah.
We wanted to sneak this in, so we got it in. So thank you for joining, Brooks. Thank you, everybody, for joining us who did, and thank you for leaving a comment. If you could do us one more favor, we'd very much appreciate it. Leave us a like, a subscription, give us a subscription or a share, and if you do the Apple Podcast thing, be sure to follow us.
Oh, and also we are on Substack. So if you want to go on our Substack, the We Are Soccer, we write a newsletter one day a week, and we also have an email list. So feel to subscribe, share, all that fun stuff, and there's some good pieces Craig and I write about.
Yep, we'd appreciate it. All right, for now, we'll see you Sunday night. Cheers.
Cheers.